do no harm, reduce suffering, engage patients and their families in their care. I live these sayings every day. Over the past decade, I've worked as a healthcare executive and now as an advisor in patient experience and quality improvement. I recall recently reading a publication by the Joint Commission about transitions of care, the need for a more effective approach to continuing patient care. In this article, it mostly faults the patients for not following their discharge instructions after hospitalization. Transitions of care refers to the movement of patients between healthcare practitioners, settings, and home as their conditions and care needs change. I would soon have the worst scenario play out with my very own mother. However, her case was very different than the cases referred to in this article. The article shared examples of patients making mistakes in their medication or forgetting their discharge instructions. However, in my mother's case, it was completely different. She did everything that she was told to do. The problem? A complete and total breakdown in communication from the hospital to the medical practice after she was discharged from the hospital. The week of September 12th, 2016, I received a call from my brother sharing that he was taking my almost 84-year-old mother to the emergency department because of vomiting and chest pain. I had recently been worried because I could sense my mom's health was declining. She was admitted into the hospital where she lives in Denver, Colorado. Now, I live in San Diego, so I was at a distance. I had a bad feeling, and I began looking for flights for the weekend. I would reflect on all my mom had accomplished in her life. Her duty in the Navy, raising 5 kids, her career with the Denver public school system, and the impact that she had on our family. We are a family of service to others. My dad, who passed away a few years ago, was a fire chief. My oldest brother, David, was a police officer and now is a firefighter. Leslie is an amazing holistic hospice care specialist. Brad fought in Desert Storm as a Marine. And Lynn serves as a nurse. And I also was a police officer and now serve in healthcare. I reflected that my mom had the best team of caregivers at her side, her children. What possibly could go wrong? I would soon learn how helpless we became because of our complex healthcare system. Before the week was over, I was told by Brad, Leslie, and Lynn that the oncologist physician assistant arrived in my mom's hospital room to deliver not so good news. Lynn recorded the conversation with permission so that I could later listen. The oncologist began to share with my mom that she had ovarian cancer and she felt it was maybe at stage 3, and she suggested chemotherapy. She went on to say that without treatment, my mom would have maybe 3 years, but with chemo, it might extend it to 5 years. She said that if it had spread into the lungs, it would be a very different story. That would be very bad. My sister Lynn chimed in, telling the oncologist PA that it did spread. The oncologist acknowledged that she had not fully reviewed my mom's chart. How could one deliver this kind of a prognosis without reviewing the chart in detail? After the oncologist PA left, a nurse came in and began removing the heart monitor, the IV, and other things from my mom. Shortly after that, I called my mom to check on her. She was crying. She shared that they were giving up on her. I asked her, "What do you mean?" And she explained that right after the prognosis was given, they began removing all of the monitoring equipment, and she believed it was because basically they did not see hope in her any longer. I tried to comfort her, and I shared with her that they probably just no longer needed to monitor her, but they were certainly not giving up on her. She did not see it that way. I then flew to Denver. I arrived on Friday, September 16th in the evening and was met by an amazing nursing team that were more than accommodating. My mother had already told them about my role in healthcare, and they also knew that we had nurses in the family. The next day, I could see that my mom was very uncomfortable as they had been removing fluid from her chest just to relieve pressure and to alleviate vomiting and the chest pain symptoms. However, it became very obvious that this was coming back. My sister Leslie and Lynn on numerous occasions asked if they were going to drain the remaining fluid or perform a paracentesis, which is a perforation of the chest with a hollow needle that removes the fluid. They advised that palliative care would handle this after her discharge and she would be fine. They advised this would occur within maybe a day or two of being discharged, which was on a Saturday. While in the hallway, I happened upon the hospitalist who was in between rounds. I told him who I was and asked him to please be candid with me on the prognosis for my mom. I shared with him that 3 to 5 years for an almost 84-year-old woman did not sound realistic to me. He looked at me in my eyes and he said, worst case weeks, best case months. This shook me to my core. We all know our parents, along with us, will one day pass away, yet one can really never prepare for this. I thanked him and I commented that the oncologist should have been more honest with us so that we would know and be able to plan accordingly. We knew they were going to discharge my mom on September 17th, which again was a Saturday, and they said palliative care would then take over from home. As I drove my mom home, she was very nauseous. We were able to sing her favorite song while we were driving home, On Eagle's Wing, as I fought tears while we were singing together. I could see the challenges she was having, even with respirations, probably because of the mounting fluid. After arriving at home, my sister Leslie stepped right in and began doing what she has done best for decades, care for those with chronic illness nearing the end of their lives. She began organizing notes and writing down contact information. And the first night, my mom had a very difficult time. Vomiting, chest pain revisited her with a vengeance. Brad and Leslie would enjoy this alongside of my mom, holding her in their arms as they comforted her. To see this was horrific. On Monday, September 19th, no call, as we were told, would happen. After Leslie was aggressive in calling the hospital, she learned that the assigned oncologist did not accept my mom's insurance through Secure Horizons. And they said they would have to find another oncologist that did accept the insurance. Meanwhile, the symptoms from the mounting fluid in my mom's chest increased with unbearable consequences. Leslie and Brad, they would learn that the oncologist had to order the paracentesis, and the new oncologist would not be able to actually see my mom until the following week. Again, Leslie and Brad shared with them the devastating suffering that my mom was enduring every morning, every night. It was horrific to watch this. She was clearly suffering, and we were completely helpless. Every time Leslie would reach someone from hospice or the hospital, the same thing was said. We will get her in for the procedure in a couple of days. Someone will be calling you. A couple of days turned to weeks of my mom continuing to suffer completely unnecessarily. The pain was so severe, I would hear my mom praying and asking God, why was she having to endure this? And for God to please just take her now. All we could do was help her as she vomited, and we would lie down with her to comfort her and hold her in our arms. Finally, on September 29th, the new oncologist would see my mom for the first time, the first appointment. Leslie and Brad shared with the doctor the miserable pain my mom had been enduring and the violent vomiting every morning, every night, due to this fluid in her chest. He advised that he would write the order for the paracentesis procedure, and he said someone would be calling to schedule this soon. Now I was flying back to Denver again for the weekend of October 1st. Again, the symptoms were so unimaginable to watch. We would all be drawn to tears as my mom was gasping as she was vomiting. On Saturday night, I couldn't take it anymore. I called the oncologist and I advised his answering service to have him call me back immediately. I received a call back from another physician that was covering for the oncologist for this weekend. I explained the situation to him and I added, "Doctor, I've recorded on video what my mom is experiencing if you need to see what suffering looks like." For my mom to have to endure this unnecessary suffering for the past 15 days was unconscionable. I would tell him that. He agreed and advised that we could take her to the emergency department. However, it was likely that she would have to wait till Monday for the paracentesis procedure to take place, to which my mom opted to wait for Monday because she was so afraid of going to the emergency department. On Monday, they would finally call and advise that the appointment would be on the next day, Tuesday, October 4th. They removed 2 liters of fluid from her chest. That is 4 pounds of fluid. They put the tube in place that would now drain the fluid, and that night she slept well, without any symptoms of the suffering she had endured for so long. The next morning again she was comfortable, but why did she have to endure 17 days of excruciating symptoms that so easily could have been remedied? What consistently occupies my mind is contemplating this. My mom had all of us to advocate for her, and even then, we were held hostage by a broken, complex system. The right hand not knowing what the left hand is doing. What happens to people that do not have anyone advocating for them? It's really scared me. We have to get better in healthcare. People were nice, nurses were nice, yet things fell through the cracks. And one group assumed another group was addressing the issue when in fact the other group was not. All the while my mom against suffering. The reality is that we must humanize the care we provide and see every patient as if they were our mother, our father, our siblings, and act accordingly. We are better than that. And to reduce suffering for patients means just that. Reduce suffering. Before I left the last time I was in Denver, my mom asked me to record a video so she could give a message to all the grandkids. And she also sang a little bit with me as well.
Raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand, and he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. And he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, you in the palm of his hand. Hello, Nyla, Reed, and Tavius, and anybody else that comes into this world after I'm gone. I just want to let you know that I'm so sorry I didn't get to meet you and see you more often, but things like that happen. But always be good and try. But I have always loved you kids. I'm going to miss not being able to see you, but one of these days we'll all get together again, and we won't have to worry about a thing. But I love yous, and I want yous to be good to your mom and dad and anybody else that takes care of you. And I don't know, I always tried very hard to teach my kids to live by the golden rule. And that's what I'm hoping for you kids. Do what you want people to do to you. Treat them like you want to be treated. and you'll never have to worry about friends or anything. But I just want you to know I love yous all and those to come. And don't ever forget me. Please, I love you very much, you kids. Bye-bye. I love you.